Welcome to the True Crime Tangles, the channel where we delve into riveting stories and explore the dark facets of human nature. In today's episode, we're taking you through a deeply compelling narrative, the life of Jacob Ryan Evans, better known as Jake, a solemn teenager from Aledo, Texas, who committed an unspeakable crime, the tragic murder of his mother and sister. It's a story that begins as a seemingly ordinary tale of adolescence, but takes a chilling turn, ultimately leading to the true crime tragedy that shocks the nation. So, join us as we unravel this perplexing conundrum, delving into the shock, grief, and profound loss that left the Evans family forever changed. Jacob Ryan Evans was born on May 22, 1995. He grew up in a beautiful home within a wealthy gated community in Aledo, Texas, alongside his parents, Daryl and Jamie. Jake was the only son in the family, with two older sisters, Emily and Audrey, and one younger sister, Mallory. In the beginning, Jake appeared to be a typical, shy, and quiet teenage boy. In 2010, during Jake's sophomore year of high school, his family decided to homeschool him and Mallory. Their mother, Jamie, played the role of both teacher and principal. Jamie had a background in education, having worked as a public school teacher and assistant principal for 15 years. The Evans family was known for their strong ties to their faith. They were avid churchgoers and had attended a Methodist church in Aledo for many years. However, they decided to make a change and started attending a Catholic church. According to a former classmate, Jake was often described as the nicest kid, even though he was on the quicker side. His presence left a lasting impression on those who knew him, showcasing the kindness that made him special. During his high school years, Jake began to notice behaviors in his peers that deeply troubled him. He couldn't bear to watch the bullying and discrimination among his classmates, qualities he saw as truly harmful. This left him wondering if choosing homeschooling was a way to escape from these distressing behaviors. What troubled Jake even more was that he started to observe similar behaviors within his own family. Even his younger sister, Mallory, seemed to be adopting some of the self-centered attitudes that he despised. To his dismay, it wasn't just his sister. Jake soon realized that his entire family seemed to take pleasure in belittling others. Over time, Jake's feelings of disgust grew darker, and he began to have disturbing thoughts of violence. He began to envision taking the lives of those he saw as unfit to exist, especially because they seemed to want to harm others. By 2012, only Jake and Mallory still lived with their parents. Jake was 17 years old at the time, and Mallory was 15. While Mallory still had a few years of school ahead, Jake was nearing the end of his high school education and had the potential to pursue a college career filled with opportunities. However, these were not the thoughts dominating his mind. As time went on, Jake's obsession with violence continued to grow. He found himself captivated by the character of Michael Myers in the movie Halloween, a fictional serial killer in the horror genre. He left an unsettling impression on Jake, who began to see the act of killing as something distressingly easy, especially when directed at those that he believed deserved it. On a fateful Wednesday in 2012, October 3rd, Jake had an appointment with his allergist. Afterward, he went out for lunch with his mother and sister, Mallory. Unbeknownst to them, Jake had dark intentions brewing in his mind. When they returned home, he retreated to his room, where he started to mentally prepare for a terrible act. Jake watched the movie Halloween for the third time that week, using it as a means to fuel his sinister fantasies. After finishing the film, he discarded the DVD, hoping to erase any connection between the movie and his disturbing thoughts. Trying to pass the time, he indulged in one of his favorite hobbies, golf, spending an hour hitting golf balls in the backyard. Around 4 p.m., Jake returned to his room to watch Family Guy, but was interrupted by Mallory, who asked if he wanted to watch a movie with her. But memories about a recent argument Jake had with Mallory about her racist remarks resurfaced. He got frustrated and was unable to change her views. So he declined the offer to watch the movie with her, and Mallory went to her room. This rejection fueled a growing anger within Jake. He made his way to his parents' closet, taking his father's blue foldable knife with him. After pacing in his room, he imagined the act of stabbing his sister. The thought of causing her pain, however, became unbearable. Around 5:30 p.m., Jake sat quietly in the living room, contemplating how to proceed with his dark plan. He decided his mother and sister would be his targets. With his thoughts consuming him, Jake went to Mallory's room and suggested watching Waterboy together. While sharing a seemingly tender moment with his younger sister, Jake's dark thoughts persisted. Instead of a knife, he had already decided to use a .22 caliber revolver he had stolen from his grandfather. He informed Mallory that he needed to go downstairs for a while, and while doing so, he plotted her death. When Mallory was caught off guard by Jake's intentions, he approached her and fired the shot. Subsequently, her body tumbled down the staircase. Afterward, Jake descended the stairs and entered the study, where he shot his mother. Jake's actions left him in a state of panic, fearing the consequences of his terrible deeds. Heading upstairs, a rush of realization swept over him, and he let out a scream. Faced with the enormity of his deeds, he started emptying the gun's shells onto his bed. However, to his shock, he heard a noise from downstairs. Mallory was still alive. Fueled by a whirlwind of emotions, Jake reloaded the gun and returned to his sister, ending her suffering with a gunshot to the head. He repeated the act with his mother, seeking to ensure that they were at peace. Overwhelmed by the harsh reality of his actions, he dialed 911, admitting to the murders. During the call, he detailed how the crimes unfolded, expressing a sense of being suffocated by his family's incomprehensibility. Receiving reassurance from the police, Jake ultimately surrendered without resistance upon their arrival, leaving behind a horrifying and tragic scene. In January 2013, Jake confessed in writing to the murders of his mother and young sister. He attributed his inspiration to the 2007 remake of Halloween by Rob Zombie. In a shocking admission, he confessed not only to intending to kill his father, who was away on a business trip, but also going over to his grandparents and planning to kill his oldest sister, Emily, along with his grandparents. His sinister plan included waiting until morning to carry out the act on his other sister, Audrey, who was visiting from college. Jake's legal troubles took a complex turn when he was deemed mentally unfit for trial. As a result, he was confined to a state mental hospital for over 2 years. His bail was set at $750,000 to secure his temporary release until trial, but his father had no intention of paying it. On April 27, 2015, Jake was released from the hospital and considered mentally stable for trial. A week later, he entered the courtroom, appearing much like the frail 17-year-old who committed the gruesome crimes. He pled guilty to 2 counts of capital murder. In Texas, the typical penalties for capital murder are death or life in prison without parole. However, Jake's age at the time of the crimes led to a unique situation. The U.S. Supreme Court had found both of these punishments unconstitutional for someone of his age. Instead, he received a sentence of 2 consecutive 45-year terms in the Darrington Facility Prison in Brazoria County, Texas. He will become eligible for parole after serving 22 years. If denied, he will have to wait until October 4, 2057 for potential release. Jake expressed sincere remorse and offered apologies to his family and the community for the pain he had caused. The family decided not to hold a grudge and preferred not to subject Jake to a capital murder trial, believing it was not in anyone's best interests. They aim to close this chapter and continue healing as a family. As we wrap up this crime case, our thoughts are with the Evans family, who endured unimaginable loss, forever changed by these events. Join us in honoring their resilience and remember that, in every true crime tale, there are human lives profoundly affected. We implore you to subscribe, like, and activate the notification bell, ensuring you stay attuned to True Crime Tangles. Your continued support is the driving force behind our relentless pursuit of answers and justice.